This episode was brought to you by Bespoke Post and Fiverr. Stay tuned for more information later in the show.
Hello, welcome to the Death Battle Cast. Once again, streaming from home. I'm Ben, the voice of Wiz. We'll figure out the order that we go in.
Where we're going. Hey, it's me. I'm Chad. Hi. Sam's mic's still muted.
And he's still muted.
And
next.
Muted.
Josh, are you muted?
Josh, come on.
Can you hear me? Oh, I did my joke.
Yes. No,
Oh my god.
Oh, you didn't hear it?
Brilliant.
I'm Josh. I'm right
y'all
ahead
hear
of the
me
show.
yet?
Yeah,
And
we
Sam
can
is
hear
back.
you
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Starting off strong.
Yeah, you know.
That's all right. That's all right.
now.
Thanks,
Welcome back to
everybody.
Death Battle Cast week, 3 work from home? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, 3.
Yes.
The edition of Death Battle Cast where we all slowly figure out how long our hair can get, and we'll,
I
maybe
win.
2 weeks, I'll have a mullet. we'll find out. So
I think I'm
today,
actually winning that, but yeah.
we'll have to see. Today is the Q&A day because a new Death Battle just released. We pit Goro against Machamp in a little episode titled Goro versus Machamp. Surprise. And that just came out this past weekend, and holy shit. Apparently people like it a lot.
Yeah, I saw it hit like number 4 on trending, so thank you guys
Awesome.
Yeah.
for watching.
Yeah, thank you so much to everybody who watched the episode and shared it around. It just got age restricted on YouTube, so sharing YouTube's gonna be a little stingy in how much it shares it. So we're definitely relying on you guys to spread the word around and let everybody know how much you enjoyed it, and if you think other people would like to check it out. It was a really fun episode. We definitely have some questions to get to, but before we get to that, I have a really important question. Do any of you guys have lilies, mums, or roses? I really need them. I have cosmos, hyacinths, pansies, tulips, and windflowers. But like,
Animal
I
Crossing
really
thing.
need to get
Animal
the black
Crossing.
roses and gold roses. They're gonna look really cool on my island the way I've got it set up. I really need them.
I had a moment, and Sam won't understand this, but I thought you were talking about homecoming at first. And I was like, what? Are you that bored? Are you like staging a homecoming?
Yeah, it's called Animal Crossing. The only thing that matters right now. So let me know if you have any of those.
I can't help you there because I just started getting into like the flower stuff because Isabel's like, you're a 2-star island, plant some flowers everywhere. I was like, I haven't been paying attention to the flowers at all. So I think I
Same.
have pansies and that's it.
Same. I just learned about the crossbreeding flowers thing. I was like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do in order to get KK Slider to show up. And I
I
feel like
haven't
I'm so
even
far
seen
behind.
roses. Like
Hey.
I've only seen pansies and lilies.
Jackie says she's got you covered on roses.
Oh,
Yes,
nice.
Jackie, my hero. Because you can get black roses and gold roses, and they look so fucking dope. I really want them. Anyway, I guess we have more important questions.
Sam's spaced out.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna get Animal Crossing, Sam. I remember you saying you were gonna get it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just like I was talking to Chris. I literally here. Let me just read you the verbatim of how I decided not to get Animal Crossing.
Oh wow.
Uh-oh.
This was a conversation because I was sitting here really debating it, and I get this text from my good friend John, and he says, "Dad, Animal Crossing any good?" And I was like. He said, think about picking it up. I said, I ain't got it. Never played one before, but I think I'm about to buy it when I'm done working. He's like, oh, okay. I've never played one either. I played Harvest Moon and tons of Stardew Valley, though, so I imagine it's kind of like that. I was like, yeah, I would think it's about the same, but you can't fuck no hoes, so I don't know if it's for me. And he's like, yeah, you can't bang Isabella or like a squirrel or something. What's the point? And I was like, for real. And then we just didn't buy Animal Crossing.
Wow. Okay.
That's how life works. So if it turns out you can bang like Isabella or a squirrel or something, like
Yeah, maybe like an update.
like I will regret it. But
Well, we'll
now
keep
I
an eye on
think
the updates. They're already on version like 3 or something like that. So I'm sure if that comes out, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get
sure
into
I'll
the
hear
Go
about
versus Champ questions. Does anybody want to read those questions?
Real quick, I'm very disappointed. I was texting Sam the whole time. He was trying to read from his phone, trying to distract him, but it didn't work.
You did?
Bummer.
Yes, I texted you a bunch.
Wow, I was like, did I block this guy? I don't know.
Good effort.
No, there it is. I think we just came in a little late.
Oh, we all did, like years ago.
Is that a bread? Just a bread emoji?
Yeah, what? It's a baguette.
Yeah.
Anyway, questions. Sam, do you have the rundown up? Do you want to read those?
I can pull it up. I don't have it up right now.
Am I the only one with it?
You're the only one.
No, I mean, I
Okay.
got it. What do you
Listen,
want?
It's trying time. He
It
wants
is
you to
trying
read
time?
the question.
Well, yeah.
Well,
okay.
what do you
want?
Well prepared.
Why didn't you mention how Machamp's belt inhibits his power? Doesn't this mean you nerfed him? That's
I didn't have that.
yeah. I'll put the emotional note at the end of it as I see fit.
Okay.
Sure. Okay. He's interpreting the questions how they're being asked in the YouTube comments. So why didn't we include the belt? Because it seems to apply more to Machoke. So there's this thing that I kept seeing online about people talking about how the belt that Machamp wears apparently restricts his power, and if he takes it off, then things will go bad. He will hurt himself and hurt others more than expected, things like that. Machoke's Pokedex entries talk about this a lot. Machamp's does not. In fact, in the manga, and the manga is in a whole other canon, but it does explicitly show that he doesn't need the belt. Most Machamps in the manga actually take the belt off. So we couldn't find a lot of evidence to suggest that the belt was actually restricting his power. The way I interpret it is more so that the Machoke is simply not able to contain all the power as he's going through the evolutionary stage, and then once he becomes a Machamp, he's got control over it. That's what it seems like is the most
Puberty is rough,
reasonable thing
and
to
then
me.
you grow up and things are better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then once you grow up, you take your belt off a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in
Yeah.
quarantine. Like, I don't even know where those belts are.
Dude,
I haven't worn a
weeks
belt in
haven't worn a
weeks.
belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick,
We were
everybody
talking
wearing
about-
pants?
Oh yeah, actually, this is us talking about. This is the first day I've like worn jeans again. In
Oh,
like,
look at you.
in like
Jeans.
we like I've realized life has split into soft pants, hard pants. So this is
that's a
the
good
return
quote.
to hard pants. And they're not as bad as I remembered they were. It's probably because I have stretchy jeans, but still.
Yeah. The other day we were doing laundry, and I was like, I need to wash every single pair of sweatpants I own, all hands on deck. 'Cause that's the only thing I'm wearing.
Yeah. Honestly, half the reason I put on the jeans was because like your jeans are the one thing you wear that gives you a caliber on like how much weight you are or are not gaining.
Sure.
If you're wearing sweatpants, you don't really notice it. Like, but jeans like let you know, right? And so
Yeah,
pleasantly
that's true.
surprised that these are not the tightest thing I've ever put on my body. So it's cool.
Yeah,
Which is-
they're an honest
thought.
friend.
Quarantine has just pretty much been like consumption teen. But anyways, question 2. Do you really ask someone is Machamp just to say the same word over and over and over? Or are these voice clips from something else?
We talked about this a couple times. No,
Yes.
we definitely
Yeah,
got a
it's
voice actor.
There's a homie
Yes.
doing Machamps.
Keston Howard, who previously voiced Captain Falcon in Johnny Cage vs. Captain Falcon. Marissa and Sound Cadence cast him as... originally, I wasn't sure if we were actually going to do it, but through talking with Sound Cadence, we were kind of like, yeah, let's just see if anybody's interested in it. And a lot of voice actors love the idea of voicing a Pokemon, so plenty of people showed interest in it. So it was great. So absolutely. And I love that Keston was willing to do that. It turned out so good.
Some of the audio in this episode seemed different from normal. Given the current predicament, did you record this episode from home?
I saw a lot of people noticing this. There's definitely some jumps in quality throughout the episode, but specifically whenever we are recording a sponsorship. And that's kind of the separation right now. We have recorded, just so it's clear to everybody, I think I posted this on Twitter yesterday as well. We have recorded the first 10 or so episodes of Death Battle already, Chad and I. But the sponsorships come in, like the ad reads come in
A lot closer.
shortly
to the
before an episode airs. Because a lot of them have to deal with current deals that are happening, and they can't necessarily prepare that months in advance. So we are recording sponsorships from home, but the episodes for a while have already been recorded. So there's going to be that like weird difference between those two moments in episodes for a little bit now. But we're just going to have to deal with it as this whole pandemic thing keeps going.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you missed a key detail from Machamp's Pokedex entry. He can send foes flying over the horizon. How would that have changed the fight?
How do you even figure out what
Like-
that means?
Yeah.
And also, he throws people into space. Fuck the horizon.
And I mean, he does get blasted off at the end. I mean, it's not exactly that, but it's close.
That was kind of a reference to it at the end. I think that was the idea, Josh, that like he gets launched over the horizon or into space, into orbit, whatever.
Blasting off again.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what happens in Pokemon. I do think it's funny when people write comments that are like, you missed this or you forgot this, because I don't know. I feel like that's very accusatory and presumptuous.
Yeah.
But no, we didn't miss it. It just wasn't worth mentioning.
Right. And we
talk about
forever.
everything.
We research everything, but we are trying to present an entertaining show and something that you guys would want to watch. If we were to literally rattle off every single thing that we came across, the show would be like 2 hours long and it would be really boring. So
I know some people would like to see an episode of Death Battle where we run through everything. We spend like 40 minutes going over the character, because there are plenty of blogs online that are huge and go into enormous, exquisite detail about characters and what they're capable of, and a lot of them are really well written. It's just the way we present Death Battle and a lot of the people who watch Death Battle, that just wouldn't really mesh very well. We're trying to make an entertaining show as well as an informative one, so finding that balance is really important.
it's like this podcast. It's a mix of really, really nerdy shit and then also some dumb entertainment. Hopefully.
Really dumb entertainment. Anyway, next
Can that be
question.
the new description for the show?
Yes.
Why did you take Machamp's Pokedex entries as fact? Everyone knows that they're random nonsense written by 10-year-olds. For example, says Go is 18,000 degrees Fahrenheit, but that's hotter than the sun.
Yeah. That's the emotion of that comment. There is a popular theory that the Pokedex entries are written by you, the character, Red, Gold, whoever. And they're 10 years old and they don't know anything, which seems odd to me. I don't know if I can subscribe to that idea, because they're very consistent throughout the games. And also Professor Oak is relying on you to give him important information, and he also already knows everything about the Pokemon, so it's like,
You'd think
I
you'd
don't know.
fact check.
the way Pokemon is set up, you're given this task of finding every Pokemon, but I feel like the way the Pokedex works is every Pokemon has already been discovered, and you're just unlocking them in the Pokedex. I don't know. It's really weird. Some people interpret it as you're discovering them. Some people interpret it as they've already been discovered. So it's all kind of up in the air. The way I look at the Pokedex entries is they seem to be, more often than not, supported by what happens in the anime, what happens in the manga, what happens in the games. There are some crazy ones. The Mycargo one sounds crazy. It's actually not as crazy as it sounds. There are a lot of good YouTube videos and like blog posts about how Mycargo actually wouldn't be that big. Being 18,000 degrees Fahrenheit wouldn't actually be that big of a deal because of his mass and thermodynamics and all that. But then there are some Pokedex entries, like Josh, I believe the one you used in the edit was like how Kadabra used to be a human child or something like that.
Yes.
Which is weird, but I guess
I didn't
maybe
know that. That's some
explainable.
weird shit.
Yeah, the entry,
the
the
point
original
is-
entry is a human child woke up as a Kadabra once, which is maybe something to do with its psychic powers, like it has memories from a child or something. I don't know.
Asked the
I think there are ways to
find me
explain
the
it.
weirdest Pokedex entry they could find, and that's the one they sent me. So, hats off to the researchers.
There's a couple of Death battles that Josh, I know you helped me write, or maybe wrote yourself, that were about weird fucking Pokemon entries too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's some like crazy ones, like what's the dog? Entei. Like every time Entei roars, a volcano erupts. So like if there are multiple Entei running around roaring at each other, it's everywhere. But I think there are a lot of ways you can kind of just excuse some of them. Entei roaring causes a volcano to erupt. It doesn't have to be every time he roars. Maybe it's just an ability that Entei has. Machamp being able to move a mountain with one hand. Is he moving the entire mountain at once, or is he moving chunks of it and he just has the endurance to lift that much over and over and over? I think there are ways around certain Pokedex entries that might seem a little crazy. So just blanket banning them all because some of them are weird, I feel like is too broad and takes away a huge chunk of information. So we can't do that. We have to look at the Pokedex entries and see if we can reasonably argue that it should exist. And with Machamp specifically, we see the 1,000 punches happen in Pokken Tournament. So it was like, well, if that's true, then some of the other things that happen that are mentioned in the other Pokedex entries that kind of line up in the same way as far as calculations go could also be true. And that's kind of the direction we went. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, Josh.
No, yeah, I was just going to mention the Pokken thing. It was like, double confirmation means we can seriously consider that one as one of his feats that's consistent across multiple media.
Yeah.
So, why didn't you give him a champ close combat? It's his best move.
I love that. Why? Okay, real quick. Spoilers. If you haven't seen the episode by now, you really should. But like, this is blowing my mind that all these questions, like, Machamp won. Well, why is everyone like? Why did you fuck Machamp over? That's what everyone.
Why didn't he win better? He should have won stronger.
I mean, there's two different things going on. One, Machamp won. Yeah, sure, that's great. But there's also like, did we represent Machamp correctly? People want to see Machamp use his best move in the fight. Close combat is his best move. That he can't naturally learn. I know that's crazy, but you have to teach him that through a TM. So no close combat for this. We were using a wild Machamp. We didn't go too far into clarifying whether or not it was a wild Machamp like we have in the past episodes, mainly because we've done it in the past, and also because I thought it was fine to just present him as a natural Machamp as opposed to going through the whole rigmarole of why we're doing it, and this is what he can and can't do, blah, 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 blah. And for the most part, I think people just accepted that, and it worked out pretty well. But obviously a couple of people were like, wait a minute, what about this move and such and such? Because like you can also teach Machamp flamethrower, right? So you could just, after Goro starts doing his flamethrower, Machamp could have also done his flamethrower. It'd be this crazy fire battle, but you can't naturally learn it. So that's all.
I'm also subscribing to the very small sect of people that believe the Machamp we used in that is also a lady Machamp because she does not have a cleft chin. Anyways, on with the next question. The fact that Goro is half dragon mean that Machamp's dragon move, Dual Chop, would be super effective against him?
I saw a lot of people predicting this. So Dual Chop is a dragon type move for some reason. Yeah. And dragon type moves are super effective against dragon Pokemon.
Like, Chop. Like, why? I don't get that.
I don't know.
That's some dragon shit, boys.
Like, I imagine Dual Chop is just like a two karate chop thing. Like, bam, bam. Oh, I'm a dragon now. Yeah, or the cross chop. But he does have a cross chop move, which we actually have in the fight, which looks awesome. Man, the animation in Post-Viz team, it's so good on this. I'm so proud of them. But we've toyed with this idea in past episodes of Death Battle, like way back when. But applying Pokemon types to non-Pokemon characters, I tend to lean against doing that unless if for some reason Machamp and Goro, if the fight was like really close or something, and there seemed to be a reason to bring that in, like a logical reason to bring that in as sort of like a tipping the balance sort of excuse.
We found in Goro's history that when he fought this other person that had dragon blood, they used a dragon learned ability and it hurt him extra bad. Like if we saw something like that, then we could be like, then it's reasonable that probably. But
yeah, if there was a reason for it, but like that's not really. There's not really anything in Mortal Kombat to suggest that type effectiveness is really a thing, and so applying the rules of one franchise to another can be very tricky. That's just kind of where we're at with it. Like I try to apply different rules like that as minimally as possible because it can get very complicated and weird if we try to do it all over the place.
Fair enough. Next one. Who do I have to blame for Machamp dabbing?
Christina.
Yeah.
No, I think that was Dave.
Yeah, I think Dave.
But who asked Dave to do it?
Well, I think Christina is to blame for the dab being part of like a death battle thing now.
Yes,
I think it's
popularizing the dab.
Yeah, she integrated it like, and at first I think it was like ironic dabbing to make fun of the youth, but now I think we're just like out of touch old people that do a dab because it's funny. I don't know how it's happened, but it is funny. So
I think in this case it was way too tempting to not have a double dab when you got somebody with 4 arms.
Exactly.
It wasn't part of the plan, but so David was the animation director for this episode. Fantastic team of people. And during one animation review, that shot played and Champ landed and did a dab, and everybody looked at me and was like, "Is that okay?" And I went, "Fine," and we just kept it.
Yeah, it was not in the script.
Nope. You know, we gotta let the animators have some fun, right? Especially with this one. Like this one is,
and some people fucking loved it. Like I saw it getting shared.
Oh, absolutely. Right. I love it. I think it's great. But this episode was super difficult to animate because of the extra limbs. Extra limb, like moving arms and hands like naturally and stuff is super difficult. And having 4 more of those things waving around throughout the fight is intense. So we actually brought on some animators who worked on Nemesis in the Genlock show to help with that, which is great. But they were like, seriously? You want us to work on 4-arm characters again? Oh shit!
Like, yeah. Well, that's the other part too, because like mocap helps a lot, right, in animation, but you can't mocap somebody with 4 arms. You know, you have to do that stuff separately. So
somebody just get behind them and just
that's 2 people fit in the same suit.
Mm-hmm. And you couldn't even use the same like similar rigs between Machamp and Goro because both of them, I didn't even realize this until we started. Their extra arms are set up differently. Machamp has his extra arms on extra shoulders behind his current shoulders, or like his normal shoulders, and Goro's are just on the like below his arms. He doesn't even have extra shoulders; they're just kind of there. So I don't know how they work. So they were completely different rigs, completely different setups, and yeah, also different finger counts, I believe. Like it was a very complicated setup for both characters.
Right, and then the clipping, that's an extra set of limbs you have to worry about. Like it's a lot.
Oh my gosh. Very complicated characters to animate. So very proud of the team for doing such an awesome job with it. Anyway.
Okay, well, last question. What's the next matchup?
Cable versus Booster Gold, which is, I know, kind of a strange one, but I've been wanting to bring both of these characters into Death Battle for a long time. I've seen Cable versus Booster Gold requested before, and Cable and both of them have had different matchups requested a lot. And it's the problem with the characters like them is it's always like these characters have time travel abilities built in. So in order for them to fight anybody, they're going to have to fight another time traveler. Oh, hey,
right.
Let's pair these two together. It works great. They have a lot of similarities, but also a lot of very drastic differences, which I think is going to make for a very interesting episode. I'm excited for you guys
Cable's
to see
a lot more serious, and Booster Gold is ridiculous.
A little bit. Yes. So that comes out in 2 weeks. Very excited for you guys to see it. It's definitely going to be a little different from the typical Marvel versus DC matchup because they are crazy characters in their own very absurd ways. Like you take that spectrum of like 90s Edge and Deadpool, basically. It's just pull them as far apart as possible. And there you go. That's what we've got.
And make sure you watch our bloopers because we had a lot of fun recording that episode.
Yeah.
I've been waiting
might
for it to come out
we might have invented our own superhero
in the booth. It was fun.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting
just
episode.
on about this for a grip now. Like,
I know.
because while we were recording, there was a certain line that just got us, and for a solid 7 or 8 minutes, we just could not stop laughing. It was pretty great.
Yeah. Ben and I have a lot of fun in the booth always, but that was probably the most fun we've had in the booth in a long time. It was great.
And I saw somebody in the chat mention, isn't a new Mortal Kombat cartoon coming out? And yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
What is it called? Scorpion's Revenge or something
time.
Like that? Not that one. Yeah, we planned 2 Mortal Kombat episodes for this year with Sindel and Goro, and what do you know? The Death Battle Curse strikes again, and a brand new Mortal Kombat cartoon shows up after we plan all this. So that worked out great.
If you want to return or get a new installment of, just let us know, and we'll make a fight about it.
I mean, everybody knows that as soon as we put Gordon Freeman into a death battle, Half-Life 3 will be announced. That's how this is going to work.
We can't. There's not a. No. You can't do Gordon
That'd be so insane.
It also makes me like nervous to actually do Gordon Freeman because everybody's going to be expecting Half-Life 3 to be announced as soon as we announce him, and then when it doesn't get announced, then everybody's going to blame us for like doing it too soon or something. I don't know. Anyway, that's the questions. Thank you to everybody who watched Goro versus Machamp again. It's been a joy to see all the reactions and stuff and to see it trending, which is awesome. That's 2 episodes in a row, which is cool. But anyway, let's move on to what's going on.
Hey, I'm here to tell you guys about Bespoke Post. So before we get back to the show, let's talk about going to the mailbox. It's usually kind of a lame experience. Like, I mean, you go, there's like a bunch of political flyers and bills and like the coupons that I don't think anybody actually uses. But there's one good thing I get out of my mailbox, and that's a box of awesome from Bespoke Post. These guys, they just do boxes of pretty much anything you're interested in. Like I've gotten some that are like, bar utensils and like cocktail maker stuff. They have like great stuff for if you're, you're hobbyist in the kitchen. They got great cooking stuff. If you're a hobbyist, you like ties. They got a box full of ties, like socks, whatever. They got cool boxes, and it's one of the best things I can honestly say is like giving yourself a gift, because you just get something like a collected assortment of dope stuff in a category of things you're interested in, and that's what Bespoke Post does. It hooks you up, and they got boxes for everybody you can think of, so they make great gifts for not just yourself but other people. So yeah, you can get started and take a quiz at boxofawesome.com, and your answers will help them pick the right box of awesome for you, or you can just select from like a humongous list. And they release new boxes every month across a ton of different categories. It's free to sign up, and you can skip a month or cancel anytime. Each box costs only $45, but has over $70 worth of gear inside. So get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter the code BATTLECAST at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com and the code BATTLECAST for 20% off your first box. So yeah, go do that and enjoy it.
What is going on? Sorry, apart from Animal Crossing. I mean,
y'all are all fucking crazy about your turnips and shit. Like, I've been hearing so much about the turnip economy. Like, isn't like every meeting I go into, somebody's like, "Anyone got turnips for sale?" or "Anyone got this or that?"
Yeah, please let me know if your turnip prices are over 400.
I haven't gotten any turnips yet. I keep oversleeping.
Oh yeah, because she's only there in the morning on Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday mornings. It's like, man, that's when I sleep.
It's a sleeping day.
Yeah, Chad, you have such a different fucking life in quarantine. Like, man.
I know you guys are like, oh, it sucks. Oh, man, I miss my turnips because I've just been sleeping so much. Fucking
Chad, that means that you would be great at Animal Crossing because you're always awake.
That's true.
Yeah. Play all the
You
time.
always have a reason to be awake. All right. So,
Get me out of here.
oh, so for this what's going on segment, we were talking about chatting up some of Death Battle Season 1. I recently joined one of the Death Battle Discord servers because I wanted to see what was going on over there because I'm not too familiar with Discord, and I jumped in and they're like, oh my god, it's Ben. And then it kind of blew up and got crazy. And I was like, maybe this is a bad idea because I kind of derailed their plan for the day, which was to have like an award sort of discussion about like their favorite and least favorite elements from Death Battle Season 1. I was like, I'll just step away so they can keep doing what they were doing. But talking about Season 1 and like the best and worst aspects of it is interesting because we are coming up on our 10th year of Death Battle, which is insane. And I figured we could look back on Season 1 a bit and see what it was like and what we like and what we don't like. Maybe talk about our favorite episodes?
Yeah.
Sure.
Favorite episodes?
Yeah.
I got my
'Cause,
list.
Man,
I got mine too.
Season 1 is interesting. Remember
so
the
wild.
health bars?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff.
I keep getting questions about why we have health bars in the first 2 episodes. Like, it's one of those early episode weirdness things. We were trying it out and it just didn't work
Figuring
out.
things out. Yeah.
Yep. That's what Season 1 in a nutshell. Just figuring things out. Period.
Yup. God, I hate watching any of Season 1 episodes because I hear the boomstick voice and I just like cringe into myself.
Oh.
Also, a lot of the early animations and stuff are, yeah. Like, I mean,
Hey, Ben did
thanks,
that
Sam.
in
Jeez.
Final Cut, Sam.
well, no, yeah.
Ben did
Like,
it
I
in
mean,
Final Cut.
I wasn't even talking about that. I was like even just talking about like the first Goku versus Superman and stuff compared to where we are now.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a
Oh, for
much
sure.
wild difference in like literally everything. The 3D, the sprites, like everything is like we make such better things now. If you
I
can
would
say
hope
one thing
so.
about Death Battle from like an internal point is we keep making a better show. Like that is looking back on these, we make a better show now than we did then, for sure.
Oh,
Absolutely.
100%.
And that's good.
Ben and I say that every
That's,
season. Like every time
Yeah.
we're just like we watch
Oh, yeah.
it, we're like Jesus Christ! Like how did we get
that's-
here from when we started?
That's the goal. I mean, one of the reasons why I look back on Season 1 as like the experimental season, even Season 2 to a certain degree. And also, just for those who are confused at why there's so many episodes in Season 1, we didn't do this annually back then. We just kind of did it however much we could. So the first season, I believe, takes place over 3 years or so. That's why we're like getting into year 10 of Death Battle, but only on Season 8. So Season 1 was very much... I wanted to establish early on this idea that no episode of Death Battle had to rely on another. That it could be experimental from the ground up for every single episode. And we had like a basic format, but we could change things up every time. And that mostly stemmed from the idea that like we're dealing with fictional characters with their own rule sets every single time. Like there's no way to lock down this huge rule set, and we're going to deal with characters who can fly in one episode and characters who can only exist underwater in another episode, and things can get crazy if we try to restrict ourselves. So applying that to just the show in general, I felt was a good way to take it. And so you can look at episodes like episode 1 through 5 or whatever, and then go to episode 20 or something, and it might feel like an entirely different show. And that was kind of intentional, especially if you look at Season 1 and look at, you know, as you're saying, the show now. I don't think there's, apart from Wiz and Boomstick being there and the text saying Death Battle, I think it feels like an entirely different show to a certain degree. And a better one, obviously, but the difference in the evolution of it has definitely been intentional throughout and just trying out new things. So from you guys, Sam, you mentioned you had a list. What was at the top of your list as your favorite episode from back then?
Favorite? Okay, so favorite's little like I know my top 5, but I think favorite is probably Eggman Wily, I guess, from season
That
one.
one.
I think
That one was
that's
fun.
Just
I
because
think
it's weird, like,
Yeah,
and
it was
it's different, and
obscene.
it's one that we still like occasionally reference and talk about,
Hmm.
and it's like kind
Well-
of like the only tie-ish one.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know, it's just very unique, and that's why I think it stands out. As like the other ones, it's just like if I look at like Raid and Thor, I'm like, oh yeah, we've done that just much better. Like recently, like we have that same kind of archetypal episode, just like a better version of it now. Whereas like Eggman and Wily still kind of stands a little bit unique in my mind.
Dude, it was. I mean, so there's so many things that happened in the episode. Like one, I believe we did voting for which robot masters and like minions should be brought
Some
into
of
the
them.
fight. Yeah, for
Some
some.
of
Like
them.
obviously we knew we would have some, but others we were like, there's so many to choose from, and obviously we can only animate so many. Like I think we polled the audience of like, yeah, what they wanted to see. That's the first time that I walked in on Ben literally asleep on his computer.
that battle was
the
a
only-
pain to animate.
Yeah, because that episode was called "Biting Off More Than You Could Chew." Ben stayed up all night
Well, you can tell
trying to
because
get the thing finished.
episode 18, like that's 19. 18 was Master Chief Doom Guy. That's like October, and like up until that, they were coming once a month, and then Eggman Wily's December, like on Christmas for some reason. Like,
Oh yeah. I don't
Was it
remember.
really?
that.
It probably got
Yeah,
delayed.
it was
It probably-
delayed. Like that's what I'm saying. It was delayed like 2 months.
Ben nearly died, like trying to get that episode. I remember
There's a reason why
walking in-
after that episode we actually hired an animater.
Yep.
And
there you
finally convinced Craig to hire an animator. It took
Literally.
19 episodes.
I remember I walked down the hallway and take a left into like a little past the door where we have like most of our offices, like our little bullpen, and Ben's desk was right there, the first desk on the left, and I open the door and Ben is just passed out on his MacBook. And I was just like,
Oh,
Hey,
I
man.
forgot about that. I'm not just animating in Final Cut. I'm animating on a goddamn MacBook.
yep. And so I was just like, hey dude.
It's terrible.
And, I went, and I was like, were you here all night? And he's like, oh, I must have fallen asleep. It's like, I'm just trying to get this fight done. And I was like, holy shit,
Man.
dude. He literally stayed up all night animating and fell asleep on his computer.
Yeah, wasn't great back then.
Nope. And then that was also one of the most interesting ones that when Ben and I would always, the process back then was Ben would do a ton of research, kind of figure out who he thought would win, and then he'd bring it to me, and then I'd just try and disagree with him and poke as many holes in the argument as possible until we were both satisfied that nobody could raise any more arguments. And that was one that was really interesting because I remember kept going back and forth on how like it's really hard to determine who would win, and then it kept coming down to like, well, the Metal Sonic, is just going to fucking destroy this other person. Like, well, then yeah, he'd have his last resort and he'd use the Robo-Enza virus or whatever, and it would take over Metal Sonic and he'd go crazy. And so we kept like back and forth on that. Wow. Then finally we're like, so I guess technically that's what would happen, and Metal Sonic would kill everyone, and Metal Sonic wins. like we're both like, I mean, I know
I am
we couldn't
curious.
argue against it.
I'm curious if because Death Battle, how we determined winners was very different back then. So I'm curious if we went back into this now, if we would get a different result. I don't know because that's a very complicated episode, and it would take a while to go over everything again. But watching through it, I believe that this is the episode where we've kind of really hit our stride, figuring out how to present information, how to knock it out quickly while still being informative. How to keep that. I feel like it has a really good balance of humor and information, whereas there are plenty of good, like decent episodes before it, but some of them kind of drag a bit. Some of them are more ridiculous than informative, and vice versa. Such as Starscream versus Rainbow Dash, which I love
that
as an
episode.
episode. I
One of my
love the
favorite
episode
episodes.
so much. It's one of the animations that I made that I'm definitely the most proud of. I feel like we could have done a better job talking about the characters in the rundowns, but overall, I think it's still pretty one of the few episodes from season 1 that I enjoy watching again.
And the ending was really fun for that one. I remember having that debate, and we're like, well, the pony's way stronger, and it's like, yeah, but his spark can't ever die. And then I was like, well, what would stop Rainbow Dash from just eating it?
The thing I totally forgot. I totally forgot about this as I was watching through it last night. So I remember the eating the spark thing. I was like, that's funny. And then Rainbow Dash turns towards the camera and stares directly at you. And it's like, I forgot about that. That's terrifying.
Well, and then we talked about too that like what would happen is like then he would eventually be passed and then probably possess some electronic device that exists in Equestria.
Yeah.
So
we made that
he's
back when I think
probably
there was
like-
only season 1 or something like that of My Little Pony. There's probably something. I believe they're on like season 8 or something like that now. I don't know. So there's probably at this point I'm sure a giant robot has shown up in this series and Starscream would be able to possess that. But at that point, I believe we mentioned the most mechanical thing was like a sewing machine or something like that.
Yeah.
So
But
that's
that was
all,
a really fun
that's all he's
episode.
got.
That was one of the first times that, you know, we got to be like, oh, something that seems like very, very ridiculous is actually like, we can analyze that, you know, like we can put math to a My Little Pony character and realize that they're actually fucking ridiculous. And that was so cool. I think that was a really good turning point for the show. Was like,
it's an improvement over the idea that we had for Yoshi versus Riptor. Yoshi versus Riptor was fun. I don't think it was delivered very well. The concept and the joke. I believe that episode's like 6 minutes long or even shorter. It's super short.
Is it really?
That's one of the episodes that I remember having to rush the animation. So it just, it's 6.5 minutes. I mean, a lot of there was a recent episode of Cast that I mentioned, like, I don't think any of our episodes were under 10 minutes. Yeah, like all of season 1. Like all of season 1 is under 10 minutes. Except for like 20 through 25 or so. So I was dead wrong there.
Well, that's just back then, especially like the internet was all about like, you know, try and make it as easily digestible as possible. Like everything should be between like 1 to 3 minutes. And so this was like a big departure from that. So I remember there were lots of debates of constantly being like, how do we get it down quicker? How do we get down shorter?
Yeah.
Nowadays it's different. One of the reasons Death Battle is so successful is because it's long and they love the fact that people are watching our show longer. But
YouTube was a different beast back then. Music videos reigned supreme, so anything shorter than 10 minutes would usually do much better.
Music videos still kind of reign supreme, but
the thing I remember about Yoshi versus Riptor is the falling on the car from Killer Instinct, and then Boomstick being like, "No, my car!" Like, and then because I don't know why.
I don't remember how we came to that conclusion because the way that was back when an episode was made in 2 weeks. And I would spend the first week researching and writing, and then the second week animating. And that was it. It would have to be done. And I guess animating and editing would all have to happen in the same week. And I can't remember if, like, you saw the animation, Chad, and was like, oh, I want to add an extra line. Or if you added the line at the beginning, and I had to dig and find a car. I think it might have been the latter, and I might have been like, I gotta find a stupid fucking car.
No, because I remember we were talking about. I think we were watching through the footage or whatever, and I just remember the car because like that's the finisher, you know, in
KI,
whatever it's called, in KI, the one where you stage knock them off, they fall off the tower forever, and then they land on the car. And I just remember seeing that and just being like, my car. I don't know. I just thought it'd be dumb and stupid. So, like many things that I do in the booth.
I remember our old voiceover booth, which was just a closet.
Yep. It got so fucking hot. There were times terrible. Like in between. Oh my god! Like we get to like, okay, we finished one character rundown, and then I would open the door, and then I would just swing it back and forth to just generate air to try and like just help cool down. We go stand outside sometimes just to cool down in between segments, and then go back in and finish VO. Oh my god, it was so bad,
that
dude.
closet? That was very like it was so. You're talking about the one at the office right next to Walmart, right? The closet.
Yeah.
Before I got the Whisper booth. The first Whisper booth we had wasn't that bad. Like it was a little tight and muggy in there, but it wasn't that bad. But that closet was buck wild small.
It was like like Ben and I could barely fit in there together with a computer. And I remember doing like a top 10 or something.
Like doing video game reviews in there, and then Craig was like, yeah, you did a good job, but your VO was kind of mess, so you should but Lauren's really good at VO. She should help you in there. And so it was like, Lauren and I in this booth, and I remember just being like, "This is so awkward. Like, I can't. Like, I don't. Like, how do you keep a nice personal space away from like a female coworker that you just started working with in a booth that's literally like this size? Like, it is a like." Yeah. You're just like both people are like, and then you're this far apart from each other. Like,
so Ben and I basically developed like a VO dance, and like he would swoop in for his line, and I would slide back and press myself into the corner, and then he would do the same as I went in for my line, and then we kept doing that because we couldn't even occupy the same space.
Yeah, we tried doing the like. The typical thing where I would record my lines and then Chad would record his lines separately, but we just found that we would deliver things better if we were doing it together. So we made it work. We made it work.
So fucking hot.
Thank God we got that whisper booth eventually. Yeah. And now with Rooster Teeth, like we have an actual recording setup for the first time.
It's so nice.
It's very nice.
With space.
It's not just a closet with foam on the wall.
Yep.
And of course, just to wrap things up, season 1, of course, ended with Goku versus Superman.
Yep.
Which is the best worst episode we've ever made.
God.
Yeah, that was the second time. Notable. Like, I went back to try and watch that for this. Oof. There's some parts of it where I'm like, all right.
Yeah. It's very long. Like, we recorded it multiple times.
And that was like the 4th script revision, like to get it shorter.
Wow.
The first one came in, I can't remember. The first one clocked in, it was like 48 minutes or something like that. We're like, we can't.
Yeah.
Like,
it was extremely long. The rundown themselves was over a half hour. Just the rundowns before we even got to the fight.
That episode, dude, like Ben had been doing research on it since literally Death Battle started because he knew that was going to be a thing. And so like he'd put a bunch of work into it. We were going to do it in 3D, which we had barely just started getting into. Jordan Lamb.
That wasn't the initial plan. It wasn't initially planned to be 3D, but then our animator who we hired was supposed to be making Link versus Cloud in 2D. Sent it in as a 3D fight, surprise, and we were like, "Oh, okay." And he was like, "Yeah, I'm doing this because I want to make Goku versus." He knew we were going to do Goku versus Superman. He wanted to do it in 3D, and I was like, "Okay, let's give it a shot."
Which that did not go well.
I think it turned out okay.
It did. It turned out okay, but like we had to delay that episode like what 2 times, and then like it was. That came down to the wire. That's the second time I walked in on Ben asleep at work, and that was that he'd been on the phone with our animator constantly and just
didn't I fall asleep during a call with the animator?
You did.
Wasn't that what it was?
Yeah, and I knew that we were going to be delayed again. So there's footage of that because we grabbed a camera and I was like, "Hey, film me real quick." And so I filmed the like, "Hey guys, I'm sorry, Death Battle Goku vs Superman has to get delayed again. We're really sorry about it." But like, look, Ben is literally just fell asleep on a phone call with the animator because he was up all night trying to like help in whatever ways that he could. Yeah, that was that was dude. We at one point we recorded
a lot, like in that season of that because. Episode 20 is March 29th, 2012. Episode 25 is January 10th, 2013. There's about 5 episodes in a year that's during that.
Well, again, that was we didn't have a team. It was just for the first 19 episodes, it was just me. Chad would help out with his script. But Chad was dealing with like merchandise and stuff like that at that point. Like everybody at the Screw Attack team at that point was spread out doing a million different things. I was also working on Clip of the Week at the time, which was a show that we made every Friday, and that was my Friday. Like make the idea, shoot it, edit it. It was an entire day. So, and I was also in college at the time, so there was a lot going on. The fact that I was able to make 13 episodes in 26 weeks initially, I still blows my mind. I don't know how I was able to make those first 13 episodes, but. At a certain point, we just realized like this can't keep going on. It doesn't work if it's just me and an animator. We need to bring in more people, which is why Nick got involved in season 2 and so on. But even then, like until we really got settled with Rooster Teeth, we didn't have the structure to keep Death Battle going on a consistent basis every 3 or now 2 weeks. Now we have it, which is great. But back then, that just wasn't a thing that Screw Attack was capable of. It just never reached that point. Like, and it's not just with Death Battle. Like every show at Screw Attack had some sort of issue like that. Because it was like, you pitch the show, you also run it. There you go. Just do it.
Yep.
And that was kind of the
if you said the word "someone should," that was you instantly volunteering for whatever that task was.
That's how I did Desk at Death Battle for 5 years. Was I was like, hey guys, this sounds like something we should be doing. And then Craig is like, now you're doing it. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
So just to wrap up a couple things, just since we're talking about season 1 and Goku versus Superman, like you said, there's like 4 different script revisions. We voiced one of the really long ones, which, fun fact, I don't remember why, but Ben, remember we voiced one of them in my living room at my house?
Yeah.
I don't remember why we had to do that, but I remember you coming over, and then we like set up a blanket and shit and recorded in the middle of my living room, my upstairs living room. I like pretty much.
Were we in the middle of moving offices? We might have been in the middle of switching offices at that point. Maybe. I don't remember. At some point we had to record when we switched.
Yeah, we had to record in my living room.
In.
I lost my voice after the first revision because it was so fucking long, and we used to record the whole script twice just to make sure that we had a good line in there. So I remember I lost my voice after that recording. Also,
because we were just recording into a laptop. We had no setup, so we would often like the quality would there'd be pops that we would have issues with the recording. Like we had to do it twice.
Yep. And then this was also one that Ben and I were in like constant communication about. We're like constantly like texting each other about different things. And like Ben and I I remember staying up late in my office on a Skype call with you as we were trying to calculate Goku's key strength. Which, if you guys have followed us for a while, you've heard me tell this story before, but this is when like we're trying to put a number to like what's the limit of his key, things that he could do. And in GT, he teleported everybody off of the planet, and so I was like, okay, cool, that's the feat we can theoretically calculate or put something to. So I calculated the collective weight of humanity. I went by country and region, and I found the average weight of male adult, female adult, a male child, a female child, and then I multiplied that by the population, and I did that for all countries and regions. And right as I am finishing up doing that, I'm like, okay, Ben, I've got it. The number of like humanity, the lifting humanity is, and he goes, oh wait, he also teleported off like a bunch of dinosaurs and shit, so we can't use that. And I was just like, motherfucker, I was so mad. I remember just hitting clear on like and just deleting it, and then like because it's useless, and then now I'm still so pissed because I wish I had that number that we could throw out and be like, this is the collective weight of humanity in 2000 and whatever.
Wow.
I just realized we've fucked ourselves on time. We need to go to this community death battle.
Real quick honorable mention, Guma versus Koopa was the first death battle to ever reach 1 million views, which blew my mind. But all right, let's get to the community death battle.
Look, we're all stuck at home right now. It's a interesting time, but you might as well try and make the best of it. And one way you can do that is working on some sort of project you might have had in the back of your head for years. I don't care if it's a play or, like say an animated short or something. If you have an idea for a project, you might have like one of the biggest hurdles you would have is say, oh, I've written a great thing, but I don't know how to animate this. Well, you can go to Fiverr and find a perfect animator. You could go there and find a playwright. You could go there and find somebody to get music for you. You can go to Fiverr and get just about any help with any project you can think of. And it's an excellent service. Say you have an idea for a little animation and you want to get a storyboard done for it. Go to Fiverr, look up storyboard artists. You can go through their reviews, you can go through their experience, their prices, and you can pick one that fits for the project you want to do. And you don't have to worry about just sending somebody money and losing it. You have a excellent like money back guarantee, all this kind of stuff that makes it safe, so you can get the project you've always wanted to do off the ground. So find what you're looking for instantly. Search by service, deadline, price, reviews, and more. You'll know exactly what you're paying for up front. 24/7 customer service helps make all of that really copacetic. And it's a great service. It's really fun. You can look up YouTube videos of people using Fiverr to do crazy stuff, designing sneakers, making animations, doing comic book art, and some of the things you'll see are just incredible, the kind of talent that's out there on Fiverr. So You can get started now by checking out Fiverr.com. That's Fiverr.com today, and you'll receive 10% off with your first order by using the code CAST. It's so easy. Just go to Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, and use the code CAST. Again, it's Fiverr, 2 R's, Fiverr.com with the code CAST. Anyways, back to the show.
Genos vs. Bakugo. Now, we're pretty familiar with Genos because we had a... Oh,
Wasn't it?
What was
that
this
was last week? I forgot to replace it. Remember Spider-Man?
Oh, right.
That was last week. Sorry, I forgot to replace it.
Who won that? Did Genos win that? Genos won that.
Genos won that handedly. Remember, there was like literally no comment for Bakugo.
That was... that was the one that was... Okay, I remember now. All right, Spooderman versus Miraculous Ladybug. Okay, and as always with the death battle, with the community death battle, we leave it up to you guys to let us know who you think should win and why, using hashtag DeathBattleCast on Twitter. So let's go ahead and bring up the answer for Spider-Man.
You said Twitter weird. Twitter?
Tweeters.
Wildboy921 the Legend says, how in the hell is that fair? Spider-Man ripped off Doc Ock's robot arms, which once survived a 2-kiloton nuclear explosion in Miles vs. Static Shock, dodged light speed attacks from Lightmaster, and he took a blast from Iron Man. Sorry, my screen's a little cut off because of this chat. We know who wins. That's all I got. Sorry, I have
yeah, we know who wins. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and bring up the answer for Ladybug.
Ladybug from Jason Sith says, Ladybug dodged lightning, moved planets, defeated Aurora.
Those things are such an escalation. It's like dodges lightning. Okay, yeah, cool. Moves planets. Like that's like
defeated Aurora Boreal, who erupted a volcano at what's that last word?
Paris.
You can remove the chat. There's a little chat button that you can remove it with. It's on the far right of the buttons.
It's gone now. Great. Tags Cat Noir, who sliced a moon at faster than light speed. She stomped Spider-Man like a bug.
Okay, I've seen a couple episodes from season 1 of Miraculous, and like, what happened?
Yeah, I liked it a little bit. She gets pretty buck wild. Spider sense is still a weird factor. I feel like this is a weird one because there weren't like a ton of comments for Ladybug. I think just because it's like kind of outside of our general audience's like range, but
sure.
The ones that there are do make a strong argument and point out like a lot of people are just like Spider-Man is so strong, he win, and they're just like ladybug, spiders eat ladybug.
Great, great way to represent our audience. Thank you. This isn't even mentioning her, like, what is it, the yo-yo? That's like context sensitive?
Context sensitive yo-yo, yeah.
I'm assuming the moon, or I'm assuming moving the planet is part of it. So the way it works, if I recall, it's been a while, she does something with the yo-yo, or there's something in the yo-yo, whatever it is, and it creates an object, and that object is the answer to whatever her problem is. She just has to figure out how to use it. It's like a puzzle. Yeah. So she will be able to create the answer to defeating Spider-Man. She just has to figure out how to use it to do that. But if she's capable of moving a planet or slicing a moon apart, and Cat Noir does not have that ability, so he just did that, sliced a moon apart. Which, okay, sure. Unless he got some new ability in later episodes that I'm just not aware of, because that's season 3. I didn't even know there were 3 seasons. Like, that's crazy. I'm voting Ladybug.
I'm trying to look it up right now. I'm definitely voting Ladybug, just because I want to see where this goes.
I'm gonna go Spider-Man in hopes that the Spidey sense saves him yet again.
I would. The Spidey sense is obviously his most powerful aspect for something like a death battle. I do think the context sensitive, I can't remember what it's called, power could find a way around that.
I'm gonna go Spider-Man just because I feel like there's enough. Like, you're nearly 100-year-old comic book character. There's a bunch of dumb shit you've done that'll probably save you in this scenario.
Exactly.
But my heart is with Ladybug though.
That's hell yeah! I just found a respect thread for Ladybug.
Of course.
Anyways, we need to look at this.
I'll
poll.
look into this more. Yeah, let's. I'm voting Ladybug.
Lucky Charm. That's what it's called.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yes, her Lucky Charm creates an object that helps her achieve her goal, often being to stop a villain. Her creativity and cleverness, I'm just reading the wiki. Her creativity and cleverness help enable her to perceive where the object can be used to help her achieve her goal. It drains her power and reverts her back to Marionette shortly afterward. Okay, so as soon as she uses it, she's basically out of power. That's right, she has a time limit. She can only be Ladybug for a certain amount of time, and then the Lucky Charm speeds up that time. That might be a bit of an issue if Spider-Man can survive everything she throws at him. Okay, anyway, I'm voting Ladybug. Let's go ahead and check out the poll that you guys voted on.
Wow, Spider-Man.
Wow.
Hey guys, welcome to the popularity contest.
Yeah, I know.
The power of
Wow,
popularity.
okay. I am curious, though.
She tamed a dragon in seconds and then turned him against his master.
Of course she did. Of course she did. Okay. So, everybody who's watching this right now, I'm very curious. Now that you've heard a little bit about what Ladybug and what she's capable of doing, if you think this could be an interesting match to explore further, maybe as a death battle, let me know on Twitter. I've seen this requested for a very long time. And the idea of it is interesting to me because it's a comic book character versus a non-comic book character, and there are a lot of really good matchups that are like that. So I don't know if there's something that the poll is missing that we're missing. I'd love to know about it, similar to the Megatron Frieza thing from a couple weeks ago. Just let me know. For the next community death battle. Shit! I didn't ask the chat to ask for one.
I just highlighted one in the rundown. Zero versus Meta Knight.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Before.
Or do we want to do a data? Says Vegeta versus Magikarp. That's a killer.
Oh.
No, somebody asked.
Okay,
somebody
wait,
asked
that's
in the chat earlier. Somebody asked who we would put the Animaniacs up against. And I was wondering if we could. Yeah.
I like Vegeta versus Magikarp more.
What? Why?
Vegeta will destroy him.
Because it will become a Gyarados. Vegeta always does this thing now, like with the other Saiyan kid, where he won't fight the kid unless the kid shows him his true powers and shit. So the Magikarp is going to have to evolve before that fight ends, or else Vegeta.
What the hell is a Gyarados gonna do against a freaking Vegeta?
Really nothing, but I think the plot would be funny. The fight would be funny.
First thing that comes up when I search Animaniacs death battle is Slender Man or Tiny Toons.
Man, the fucking Tiny Toons could be interesting.
Yo, hot
if we
take,
did-
fam. Animaniacs kind of suck.
All right, I got it.
What?
I got it. So
Deal with it.
Doug 4343 in the chat requests Frank West versus Ash from Evil Dead. Ash Williams. Let's do that. Frank versus Ash. Let's go ahead with that one. Let us know who you think should win using hashtag DeathBattleCast on Twitter. We will have a poll up later on this week, and then we will discuss it on next week's episode of Death Battle Cast. Thank you for tuning in. We'll probably talk a little bit more about Season 1 in Sudden Death, which is our first exclusive post show that we air on roosterteeth.com.
Yeah.
Or we can talk about, you'll see the PlayStation 5 controllers they showed off?
No, we'll have to check that out too. All right. Well, we'll see you there if you're a first member. If you're not, it's totally fine. We'll see you in the next episode of Death Battle Cast. Thank you so much.
Bye.